Good evening. My name is Miguel Infante, and today I'm going to go over the negative side of raising the minimum wage. Let's begin. So, number one, the contingency for harms is problems that exist right now is that the value of the money right now it has declined since 1938. Now, with that being said, the rise and the negative effects of raising the minimum wage is a fact of the matter is the quantity of labor. Now, many people right now they have families, they have kids, they have children of their own, and they want to provide for their family. But the problem is, we're raising the fact with the money with the wage of $15 is the fact of labor. Now, with that being said, what I mean by the fact of labor is I mean the clearing wage of labor. What I'm saying by that is when it becomes passing, the problem is the quantity of labor that demands on the fall. Now, the quantity of labor that when the wage increases, the quantity of labor decreases because of the fact of the matter is the money that gets put in doesn't get put out with the quantity of labor that puts in. So one of the main reasons is because nearly 3/4 of these U.S. based economies oppose a federal minimum wage of $15 per hour. And although the majority of the economists believe that 83% of these employment rates of the adults would raise an economical impact, but also the employment levels would spike up 2%, the number of jobs available. But what the fact of the matter is, when the minimum wage gets raised, the hours become lower because the labors don't add up. Now, what I mean by that is 67% of business owners it would keep them harder to open because of the 50 employees that nearly 7 out of 10 work for $15 an hour. It would lower the rate of production. It would lower the rate of production because only a good amount of people would work for $15 an hour. Now, in 2025, if we raise up to $15 an hour, that's great, but the hours working on that scale would not be so great at all for the people in that company, in that business. Now, the efficient way to address the income needs of poor families is 5%. To believe $15 per hour would be sufficient. But with that being said, of the spending level on programs, on public programs, daycares, etc., that would be a decline. So rather it be $15 an hour, it would actually be $11 an hour per hour with the federal wage of the rate of the majority. Now, with that being said, the people in the Republican and the Democrats saying that $7.50 per hour unless plurality of the Democrats responded preferring a minimum wage of $10.50 per hour. Now, why is it $10.50 per hour? Like I said, it's the amount of spending on not only the products themselves in the store, but only the products that you are placing on the people on daycare, in public schools, etc. Because people that are working right now, they're using this as a job. But the problem is, if they raise up to $15 an hour, it won't get done to a higher standard of when the money is outputted. Now, evidence here is in 2008, David Newbrook and William L. Wesher surveyed 2 decades research in the effects of minimum wage laws. The minimum wage laws themselves, they reduce unemployment. Yes, they reduce employment, but the fact of the matter is, statistically, there's no significance to the negative effect of the employment. So only 8 of these wages, only 80% of them would affect to negative unemployment rates. With that being said, it would spike a hike for the reduced earnings of low-paid workers. But with that being said, the income of the labor itself would decline because of the negative impact on the employees. Now, the view here is, if the spike of the minimum wage is $15 an hour, yes, it would gain some income, it would gain some result, but the fact of the matter is they would also be losing some because of the likelihood of the diminished of the unemployment rates. see, when they raise it up to $15 an hour, yes, you get some money, but you also lose the money back because $15 an hour isn't sufficient enough, and it's going to lose some impact on the company itself. On the bigger companies like Coke, McDonald's, and Burger King, and all those other high-end franchise restaurants, they're losing money as well with that because of the labor intake. Now, with that being said, with the minimum wage, the problem is with the minimum wage, it also spikes the fact of the matter is that many of these people that are teenagers or college students, they're not going to get the beneficial raise of learning for future earnings. And $15 an hour, yes, $15 an hour is great, but they're not going to get that future earning. They're not going to get future skills on the skills that they need to get better jobs. Now, how do we plan to go about this attack? How do we plan? The plan is this: if we raise up to $15 an hour, yes, it'd be beneficial, but it'll also be a boost for the people that want to work for $15 an hour and benefit and harm the company itself and overall. Now, if the positive wants to overlook this, they can overlook that. But like I said, the negative effect side of this is $15 an hour. Yes, it has its good ways and its bad ways, but the problem is it would go either way and be harmful to both the company and both just the moral being of the person that wants to work there and wants to gain more skills as an employee.